Now many players start the ball left and then cut it back to the right, or start the ball left and get it going further left. And there's a pretty common reason why this happens. I want to show you this exercise to see if it will help solve some of your left shots and start to get that ball flight starting a little bit closer to the green and to the flag. What I see is that many amateurs try to use the weight of their body to bring the club down. So you can see my body weight has already cleared past the ball way before the club head has hit the ball. If I do this, and you can see what happens to the club from this angle, as I start down and my shoulders move, you can see that it throws my arms way outside the line, which causes me to hit left and across the ball. Try this exercise. I want you to feel that once you've got to the top of your backswing, that you try to hold your weight behind the ball and feel that your arms drop and you let your arm swing overtake your body turn, so that the momentum of the club releasing pulls your body through. If you can allow your body to release a little bit later, it will get your arms down much more in front of your chest, and you will be able to solve those big pull shots. Now watch my timing as I do this. I'm going to exaggerate this, but you can see how I allow the weight of the club to release me. Let the weight of the club pull your body motion through to the finish. Don't be so anxious to get there too quickly. If you get there too quickly, the club will be late and your ball will go all over the place. Here are two fabulous exercises to help you solve the problems of habitual slicing and habitual hooking. A slice is such a destructive shot, you know, there's so much side spin, you can't really aim it left enough, and the more you aim it left, the worse it goes. I want you, instead of to be satisfied with your slice, let's neutralize it and see if we can turn you into someone who can draw the ball. Follow me as I do this exercise, and just with a half swing, you can practice this one for hours. All I need is 3 balls and 3 tees. I'm going to hit the middle ball, and what I'm going to do as I set these balls up is to give myself a little bit of a gate. So if I slice it, then you will see that my path comes this way. Now with the way I've got the balls set up, I will hit probably at least 2 of them, or maybe even all 3 of them. You just want to hit the middle one. Just your half swing, and get it to where you can feel that your arms and the club are going to go through this gate that I've made. The great thing about this exercise is that you get instant feedback. If you hit either of those 2 balls, you'll certainly notice it, as will everybody else on the driving range. So follow me as I do this one so that you can stop that slice forever. The benefit with this drill is that you get instant feedback. There's no way that you can hit that center ball without moving the other 2 if you're still slicing it. Now this next exercise is for the hookers, the guys who really get it trapped underneath and flip those hands over. If this is your shot pattern, it's so destructive and very difficult to hit a driver. All of the long irons are too de-lofted for you to hit. Work on this exercise, neutralize that draw so that you can draw it a little bit, but it stays very, very straight. We need to tidy up that scatter pattern. Again, I put down my center ball, but now I'm going to put my gate in this way. If I come in from here and I flip it over, I'm going to send all of these balls all over the place, and you will have the instant feedback that you got back into one of your old habits. Try this exercise and this will really straighten out your shot pattern. Just a half swing. So if you can use this exercise, you will be able to neutralize that very destructive hook. You'll hit a lot straighter shots, you'll hit a lot higher shots, and you'll be able to get around even the most difficult golf courses, and your scatter pattern will get so much better. One of the areas in release that it's very important to work on is using your hands and your arms correctly. If you have a mistake in your golf swing, you will learn over time how to compensate for it. Perhaps if your club face gets shut, you will learn how to block it. If your club face gets a bit open, you might be flipping it over. What I want to do is to show you a couple of exercises to neutralize that swing, because what's going to happen as you work through this program, your positions and motion will improve, and so your old feelings at impact will no longer be appropriate. If you were a real flipper, then this is a great exercise for you to work on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to deliberately shut the club face at address. Take my normal grip, so that as I come through the ball, I will learn to get my hands a little bit more ahead to hold that club face squarer. So I will get more steady hand action. It won't be such a wrap over. Now you can see from my finish position how my body and my arms have stayed linked together. I don't let my arms go flying past me. These little exercises are very important if you're going to put the finishing touches on your new golf swing. If you're a slicer, then your hand action is late through the ball. You roll your arms over too late, or you don't roll them over at all. This exercise is designed to help you feel how your arms, especially your right arm, is going to roll over your left arm to square up the club face. Follow with me now as I do this exercise, and if you're slicing it, then this is one thing that is a very simple drill that you should repeat over and over again until that slice is a beautiful high draw. I set the club face down deliberately open. Then I take my grip, so that if I hold it and I slice it at all, then I will have a catastrophic slice. From this position, I must release my right arm over my left arm as aggressively as I can if I'm going to square the club face. If I can do that with this exercise, then when I go down to put the club face square, it will be easy for me to shut the club face down and to get a lot more power out of my shots. Set the club face down open, then take your grip. You can just use the half swing. From here and now the goal is to really get the right arm on top and squaring up so that the right hand is over the left hand. That will give me a beautiful draw. I'll get far more power and far more pleasure. Club face open. you can see from my finish how aggressively my right arm and my right hand has rolled over my left. This is an exercise that needs lots of repetition. Your hand action has obviously suffered, and because you've hit so many balls, you will have memorized these feelings. I want you to replace all of those feelings with this aggressive arm roll and hand action so that we can square up that slice forever. When I am working with the tour players, the thing that we are focusing the most on is getting the arms and the body coordinated. We call this synchronization. What I want to do is explain to you why this is so important and how you can start synchronizing your golf swing. We know that at impact, the weight of the body and the weight of the club should come together at the same time to give the most amount of power and accuracy. If my body is way ahead and my arms are coming late, I'm always going to be trying to guess which piece is coming in where. Let me show you some great exercises that will help you to solve your synchronization. Most players have the problem of letting their body go first and then getting the club coming down later. What I want you to do, stand with your right foot considerably back so that your hips are naturally shut. This is going to make it far more difficult for you to spin your hips because your left leg is blocking the movement. Hit some golf balls like this, where you feel that your arms work past your body. You should actually be able to see the club head hit the ball and go past your eyes, then pull you out of your swing. Set it up and let your arm swing pull your body through to the finish. There are all sorts of little games you can play. Here's another one for your backswing. If you're very flexible and you tend to always turn too early, which is definitely human nature, toe in your right foot so that you can really block this right hip from moving. And you can see it is very difficult for me to get this kind of a takeaway. Toe that foot in and let your arms have a 5-foot head start. All of these little exercises need practice. You need to build up a background of swing thoughts that you can use, that when you're out on the golf course and things aren't going how you want them to be, you can build a little exercise for yourself, make a few practice swings and get back into the clubhouse without losing too many shots. Now, the course designers are not known as generous guys, and very frequently they'll lay out a golf course which causes you to have to shape the ball. What I want to discuss with you is how to intentionally shape the ball. We can all unintentionally shape the ball and not always in the right shape that we wanted. If you needed to do it specifically because of a hook fairway or a slice fairway or you're behind the trees, these are some simple ways to go about it. Set down a club straight towards your target. Now, what I'm going to do is that if I wanted for a draw, I want to start the ball to the right and let it curve back in the air. The way I'm going to do this is I am going to keep my club face always pointing at the place that I want the ball to come down. So my club face is going to go to my target. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my body angles so that I set up my shoulders to the point where I want the ball to start. Now, the critical thing here is to ignore the line, the target line, because I've established a new target line. I'm going to swing along the path of my shoulders, and what's going to happen is that the ball will start on that path. But because the club face is shut, to me, is that the ball, hopefully, will curve back through the air and come down close to your target. It definitely needs some practice. Go and experiment with it. And if you can hit a couple of great trick shots, it'll stun your friends. If you need to hit an intentional slice, This is what we're going to do. Put the club down, aiming at the target. Now, I'm going to start the ball to the left and let it slice back through the air, or spin from left to right, back towards my target. So again, I put the club face down, aiming at the hole, but I set my body well to the left, which is where I want the ball to start. And all I'm going to do is to swing on my shoulder line, so don't look at the hole, look where you're going to start the ball. And then from there, I just swing on my body lines, and with the open face, my ball will start where I'm swinging and then come back towards the target. These are difficult shots. You definitely need to practice them before you try them on the golf course, but when you pull one off, that's the sort of stuff that brings you back to the golf course for another day. When I'm out on the golf course, I can't always just hit my standard flight. Sometimes perhaps it's very windy. I need to hit the ball low to keep it under the wind so I can keep my direction a little bit more in control. Other times the greens might be very hard. I might need to hit the ball a little bit higher to get it to land softer, or I might be behind a tree, or I might be under a tree. The simplest way to control ball flight is to change the angle of attack, and the simplest way to change the angle of attack is to change your ball position. If this is my normal ball position, if I want to hit a low shot, then I might move the ball as far back as that. What's going to happen is that my iron is going to come in a lot more de-lofted, and the launch angle will be lower and it won't climb as high. If I need to hit a high shot, I might put the ball as far forward as that, where I'm going to be almost hitting it on the upswing, getting more lift of the club, really send the ball up into the air. So remember, if you're out on the golf course and you have to manipulate the height of the ball, just use a 3/4 length swing. You probably don't know the feelings for changing the ball position because you're usually working always in the same place. 3/4 swings give you more control. If you're going to hit a high shot, you might want to use more club. If you're going to hit a low shot, use less club and it will tend to roll out a little bit more. Definitely go to the driving range before you try it out on the golf course. There's nothing worse than just coming up with a new idea that you've never done before. There are two types of practice that you really need to do. One is to improve your mechanics, learn new feelings, banish some old feelings, and the other is the skills of shot making that you need out on the golf course. My recommendation is you basically need 4 shots. You need 5 shots because of the straight shot, but you need to be able to draw it, you need to be able to fade it, high and low. Go to the driving range, give yourself 10 balls. Try to hit a draw. How many did you get out of 10? Write it down. The next time you try it, try to improve. In this way, you will be able to compete against yourself, learn the feeling so that when you go out on the golf course, you've got the skills to get it round all of these different shaped holes. Control the distance and control the flight. If you can start to do some of these things, you will definitely be dropping your handicap. With my driver, I'm looking for a slightly different impact position than with my irons. With my irons, I'm looking to hit down onto the ball so I can use that loft to get elevation. With my driver, I'm trying to get as little backspin as possible so that I can get the longest distance that I can. What I do is to change a few things. When I take my address position, I am trying to get the weight of my body more back behind the ball at address, and what this does is it helps to shallow out my angle of attack. I'm trying to make my swing as U-shaped as possible, whereas with my irons I was quite V-shaped. Put the ball slightly more forwards in your stance if you have a problem getting extra length on your driver. Take your address position, nice wide stance, comfortable base, keep that spine straight. Push your hips forward a little bit and allow your right shoulder to drop. From this position here, your angle of attack will be very shallow, you'll get very little spin, launch it quite high, and the ball will really penetrate to get you the maximum amount of distance. Right, now for the moment of truth. Well, I like that one. So remember, if you want to flatten out your driver, get the most amount of loft, you're looking to U-shaped swing, set your body up behind the ball, make your normal swing, and really try to get that launch angle high and little backspin. Maximum distance, maximum roll. If you've ever watched a professional golf tournament on television, or even better, been to one of the tournaments, you'll see that the tour players don't always hit the perfect drives in the middle of the fairway. They don't always hit the perfect iron shots next to the green. But around the greens, they build a short game that saves themselves shots. This is their get out of jail card. Many of the amateur players, they miss a green, automatically they're paying the penalty. Chip 2 putts, even worse, chip, 2 putts. What I'm going to do is show you how to build a solid technique around the greens. We're going to talk about 3 different situations that you will find yourselves in, so that when you do miss a green, you're not thinking automatic spending shots. If you build a solid short game, follow the technique, you will be able to save shots around the green. What I'm going to do is show you this first situation around the green. I've hit a good shot, very close to the flag. I've just rolled off the side, but I'm a little concerned that there's too much fringe here for me to putt through. What I'm going to do is to show you a technique, we're going to call it chip number 1, where you can use your putting stroke with a chipping club to get yourself out of this situation. You shouldn't be spending shots having hit such a good second shot. This is where you definitely don't need to spend any money. I find myself in a situation, I'm just off the green, I've selected my 7-iron, and what I'm trying to do is use my putting stroke. I'm going to use the loft of my 7-iron to carry the ball onto the green and then let it run out like a putt. The fringe is the area that I'm concerned with. I'm not sure how it's going to roll through that. All I'm going to do, solve my problem, is take this fringe out of play. Land the ball on the green, control the bounce, and then let it run to the hole. Watch me do one. I just saved another par only because I chose the simplest option. Now let me show you how this technique works. In this first little chip shot, let me explain to you how you're going to use your body and how you're going to address the ball so that you can get the most out of this little shot. If we learn the address, the motion will be much easier later on. All you're going to do is take your putting stroke, and I don't know if I like your putting stroke yet, so I'm going to explain to you how I want you to address the ball. With my body, I am looking to create a stable base. On these little shots, you don't need to have any body motion, so the address position is different than for a full swing. In a full swing, we're looking to stabilize our body so we can support that big motion. All you want to do, wide enough stance so that you're comfortable, down in your legs, let your arms hang, And all I want you to do is just bump a little bit to the left side. You should have at least 70% of your weight on your left foot at address. From the point of view of aiming, you aim with your shoulders. The motion is going to come from your shoulders. And what I'm looking to do is get my shoulders going exactly where I want the ball to run. If we can do those basic keys, you will find this shot very easy. What I want to do is I want to show you the difference in the address position of the club. I see many amateurs address these little chip shots. I'm using my 7-iron, and the problem is it forces you too far away from the ball. The other thing that's very dangerous on these little shots, where there's not much speed, is that the heel can catch in the grass. Let me show you one. You can see how I didn't get a perfect hit, the heel caught, the toe rolled over, and my ball shoots away long and to the left. What we are looking for is to have the shaft perpendicular to the ground. This takes the heel out of play. The heel is the danger area. I address it on the toe, I take my putting address, and another perfect save. So, to understand where this motion comes from, I want you to have a look at this exercise. If I just use my hands and wrists, you can tell that little scoop is certainly never going to hold up under pressure. Watch my motion now. As I take this back, you can see how my shoulders have moved. No hands, no wrists. To complete the stroke, my shoulders work down and then they work through. And when I finish my stroke, I should be able to turn back to address and see that nothing has changed. There is no hand action in this shot. Try this exercise. Address it as normal. Hit your stroke and hold the finish, and now return back down to impact, and nothing should have moved. If nothing's moved, then you're using your shoulders. If something moved, you are compensating, and it'll be unreliable and inconsistent. It's a good practice drill. You should go and do it. Many players make a mess of these little shots because they don't understand the concept. You see the ball lying on the grass and you think that you've got to help it up. If you hit the ball from here, there's not a lot of loft. The idea is that you must hit down on the ball to make the ball go up into the air. Let me show you these two illustrations. You can see my wrist broke down, I tried to help it up into the air, thinned it, and it rolls along the ground. Watch me do this one now. What I'm going to do is to show you an exercise that will solve this problem forever. I'm going to take another one of my clubs, I'm going to lay it down behind the ball, and if I scoop this one, I will break one of my very expensive graphite shafts. You've got to learn the up-down motion so that you can feel that the club pinches the ball into the grass. The loft gives the ball height and it runs out like a putt. If you can do that, you will eliminate those ugly thin shots. This is a great little shot if the situation is right. Here I am, I'm lying on the fringe, I can definitely get a clean hit on the back of the ball, and you really want to be able to use this shot in this situation. However, don't fall into the trap. If your ball's lying in this stuff, of trying to use the same thing, I won't get a clean hit on the ball, I won't get any consistency, and I will have no idea how the ball is going to come out. Use another shot, which we will have a look at in a minute, to play these ones.